'90s, that's like basically one of your better decades as a professional, which is crazy because you had such an awesome career before that.
Well, yeah, it was the '60s, '70s, '80s, and '90s.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
You were
the
so
2000s.
good. Yeah.
And the 2000s. Well, why in the hell don't I have a lot of money? If it was that good, why don't I have a lot of money?
I don't know. That's crazy.
I don't know. I blew it. No, I didn't. I didn't blow it. I got enough money to last me.
It would have been
my
easy.
kids and their kids too.
Oh yeah. It would have been easy just to kind of rest on your laurels in the '90s and just play it easy. Like a bunch of awesome, famous wrestlers like you did and really could have. But you really kind of reinvented yourself and you became a significant force around the world. Why was it so important for you to stay current in that way? And how did you do it?
It's important because of pride and family. I wanted to give the people something to remember. As I spent my life at it and loved every minute of it. And that's too important. That's an important factor right there. Is when you love something, you've got to be near it and be with it, and that's what you do. And that's it with me and wrestling. So I loved every minute of it. I even loved the people whenever they stabbed me. That's actually a wonderful response that you can go ahead and get from them. That's the most important thing in the world. Is they believed in Terry Funk. Believed in me so much, they wanted to kill me.
Right. Well, yeah.
So I love them for that.
How did you reinvent yourself, like at that period though, when you turned yourself into that crazy kind of ECW style? Because you kind of were, known.
I didn't really reinvent myself. It's just that what happened then is Vince was a very selfish individual, and he was had a lot of hate towards the other promotions around the country, and that's what his problem. And because I was a member of the National Wrestling Alliance, and with those promotions, he got the national TV not because he was a genius, but because he was in New York in the closest area to it. There's two places that went national, LA and New York. And the rest of the country had problems,
Mm-hmm.
But again, what was the question now?
Just really about you and kind of reinventing yourself. You said you really weren't reinventing yourself, but you weren't.
No, I was always the same individual. I didn't reinvent myself. I was always Terry Funk. I felt I was, at least, and maybe I wouldn't. Was I a crazy Terry Funk? Yeah. Was I not so crazy sometimes? Yeah, but I was always Terry Funk.
That is very, very true. At the start of the decade, you were working with Jerry Lawler, which is kind of an old feud from basically, I'm talking about the 90s, so the early 90s, feuding with Lawler again after feuding with him in early. Yeah, and then at this point, competing for the USWA championship. What was it about you and Lawler that it just made it magical with you two in the ring? It's awesome feud.
because that asshole was from Tennessee and I was from Texas. That's what made it. And I told the people that too. And yeah, people loved a good feud.
And you guys had an awesome feud.
We had an awesome one. Jerry Lawler was a heck of an individual on the microphone, and he was a great wrestler in the ring and a wonderful performer.
Any real life heat between you two?
It's pretty hard to have a bad match with a guy like that.
Any real life heat with you and the King?
Did he realize what?
Any real life heat? Like, did you guys really not like each
other? Well, no,
no,
he realized, and what was the most important thing of all, he realized that I was the King. Not him.
Right. Do you remember in '92 you did like 11 episodes of a police show with a talking dog? It was called Tequila and Benetti. You weren't really wrestling at all, but were you thinking about moving into acting as a regular thing? Were you thinking about retirement at that point? Seemed to be winding down kind of before '93.
I wasn't thinking about retirement at all. As I did that, my California, that was probably close to the start of my career at that time in California. What I do is I go out there because, I could get a retirement in the Screen Actors Guild if I got 15 years in. And I go out and get my qualifying, but they would cover all of my medical expenses. If I get hurt, they would cover it. It was all very, very important to me because, it can be, and I had a family, and I had my loved ones, and I wanted to give them the best chance at having a great life, my kids having a great education. And I found that it was very expensive, the medical side of the wrestling business, because you're going to get hurt, and it's going to cost you money when you do. So that's why I did that. So I did it but then I realized also I could get retirement. So I would SAG after it. So I go out there and make my qualifications, and I go back to wrestling. And next year I do the same. So I did that for 15 years. And that way I'm a retired artiste now.
Yeah. Pretty smart, pretty genius.
I'm a retired artiste and a tired wrestler. Not retired. I'm just a tired wrestler.
Pretty genius. Not a lot of guys kind of had that foresight like you did, like to get the insurance and the SAG and everything.
Well, it was a difficult job to do, and had to have some ability and talent. And, you haven't seen too many that made that step along the way, and you had to be able to qualify for the parts. And in order to qualify for the parts, you had to be a pretty sharp individual because you're competing against world.
In '93, ECW and FMW, very similar in a lot of ways. What was about that style that appealed to you?
That style?
Yep.
It was my style. It was, honestly and seriously, you can ask Paul Heyman. Because I taught Paul Heyman more than anybody else in the business taught. He'll tell you that. Call him up and say, hey, I want you to talk about Terry Funk. See what he says. And he'll tell you that I educated him in the world of wrestling.
Do you think that style was harder on the body, easier on the body, or the same?
Oh, it was total. It was total dedication to life in the ring. I dedicated myself. The people in the ring with me and against me dedicated themselves to 100% for the audience, and that's the only way that I was going to have it. And fortunately, there was a lot of guys that were looking to climb the ladder to success in the ECW area.
As you were getting older, and the blood and guts match style, obviously the hardcore matches, do you think that was kind of easier for your physical skills to do those kind of matches, or do you think that almost hurt you in the long run?
No. It was, if you watch those matches, as I wrestled too. I didn't just go out there and run around the ring like an idiot for 10 minutes and go home. I give the people their money's worth. And that's an important factor, is you give them their goddamn money's worth.
Now, you said that's kind of your style. How would you describe that style, that ECW style?
Hard work, love of the business, dedicated, care about each and every individual out there, hope they get home safely, want to give them more than anything else a bang for the buck.
When you moved to FMW, it was shocking, I'm sure, for a lot of the Japanese fans to see you move away from Baba's group, because that's kind of what you were synonymous for with All Japan.
Well, I really didn't move away from Baba's group. It wasn't really away, as I had the time to make the trips over there too. I did slow down. I slowed down because of my family. I certainly could make 5 times the money I could in ECW in Tokyo, Japan. And ECW wasn't bad. So that's how Tokyo was. And I think that I captured, I'm bragging to you now.
Yes.
I captured the Japanese audience, and I captured their hearts, and I captured and I had the same love that they did for wrestling. They loved it, and was very fortunate to have that opportunity to go over there, and just totally. As Hulk Hogan might have thought he was somebody here. Let me tell you, as fans love me in Tokyo. And I love them. And that's the reason that they love me.
Did you ever have to talk to Baba, like saying, hey, by the way, I'm working for FMW now, or did you ever have a conversation with him, or no?
I never had a conversation about him, about ECW, not you said FMW, didn't you?
Yeah, when you went to Japan and you were working for FMW.
No, I was working for ECW, right?
Right.
Not FMW. FMW, I don't think I ever wrestled.
Oh, you did. You were wrestling over there in Japan.
Well, that wasn't FMW.
Oh, no?
No, I was All Japan Wrestling.
After All Japan, though, when you went back to Japan.
When I went to Japan, it was All Japan Pro Wrestling. It wasn't FMW. Now, I'm talking about the Japanese organization.
Yeah, like, for instance, when you wrestled Onita in that great spectacle, one of the greatest spectacles in wrestling history, what was it about him, that made the people go crazy? Rarely saying that was FMW.
Where I was, he was FMW. I was All Japan Pro Wrestling.
So
he was FMW. Onita's group was FMW.
Yep.
Baba's group was All Japan Pro.
So when you wrestled Onita and FMW, you technically were under the All Japan banner, you mean?
No, I wasn't. I was with Onita then. I thought you were just talking about the different time than what I was. I went over there with Onita, and we had 30-some thousand people in Tokyo Stadium.
What did you think about that death match? One of the greatest spectacles in wrestling history. I mean, it's a crazy match.
Well, it was crazy. And it was a wonderful success to him in that country. They were, he was fighting hard for his business and his organization. And he asked me to come over there for him, and if he thought I could help him. And hopefully I did. I think I did. Hell, I had 30-some thousand people at, I don't know what the hell, ringside ran, a couple $100.
What was it about Onita that made him such a star? People went nuts for him. I mean, he was just charisma.
Because he built himself after me. He followed me around like a goddamn dog whenever he was younger. He came to America. He left Baba. All of a sudden, he showed up at my house in Texas. He wanted me to help him out with get him booked as a wrestler somewhere, So I bought him a old junk car and told him to go to Florida. So he drove to Florida. Went down there, and that's how he got started in the business, He always loved me. Everywhere I'd go over there in Japan, he'd be following me around, Well, he followed me all the way back to Texas.
Right.
The asshole. So I got him booked in Florida, He had to make that drive by himself, or couldn't speak a word of English. Drove all the way from Amarillo to Tampa.
Sorry about that. Yep, sorry about that. So when he gets you for FMW, like, how does he say? He basically says, "Hey, I want to take you. I want to use you for my new league, and kind of get you away from All Japan."
I went over there, and honestly and seriously, I knew what was going to happen, is because I went over there, and it was the first time I was away from Baba, and it was just blew the door off the business. And Onita matches. I think we did 30,000 or something in the Tokyo Dome. Not Tokyo Dome, the baseball stadium.
Kawasaki?
Yeah. I think that's what it was. It was over 30,000.
Was Baba upset that you weren't wrestling for him and you were wrestling for Onita?
Not really, as Baba was. I really don't know. I don't think that he would be. He was. We talked after that, and went to eat with him one night. You know, just I don't really know if he was or not. If he was very upset with me, he didn't. He didn't seem to be. Anyhow, as I loved him and respected him, and he respected me.
When you and Onita are doing the match, I mean, crazy, the death match, did you have any idea what to expect with, like, the explosions, or did you guys do a test run, or did you kind of just wing it and hope for the best?
Lord, no, we didn't do a test run. And, hell is just nuts, that's all. It's just two nuts in the ring that trying our best and trying to make sure that we had another night to go.
So Onita is kind of a Terry Funk disciple, right? You could say?
Totally. As you ask him today, hell, he went up and was running the country. He wound up president because of me.
The finish of the death match is perfectly done.
Did you know that?
What?
Did you know that about him?
Yes,
in politics?
Yeah, his political aspirations. Oh, yeah, he did have a big political career, yeah.
Yeah.
The death match. So the finish of the death match, perfectly done. Did you know right away that you'd have been a part of something special?
Well, I like to think of myself as, I don't ever think of myself as, I think of myself as, not myself, but I think of my appearance with whoever it might be as special, no matter where it is. If I was wrestling in the Bull Barn at Hereford, Texas, with 300 people, I'd think, I'm going to give them the same no matter where I am. That makes any sense to you?
Yeah, yep. By the next year, you had left Onita's promotion and joined.
And that's one thing, see, is I didn't still let Onita. There I made a goddamn half a billionaire,
Yep.
But I did it, and I instilled all of that stuff into him, and so that's why it was that way.
When you left Onita and went to Victor Quinones, IWA Japan, was there a problem with Onita that you decided to leave and do IWA Japan?
No, at that time Onita was, I just went with Victor because I thought, well, what the hell? I'll go with Victor. So we did great business there again, and it was because what happened with Onita is Onita ran for the president at the same time. You follow me?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So no issues with him, obviously.
Yeah. Well, he was going to be. He turned politician.
Right. And IWA Japan, I mean, really, if you think
about became president, and he wasn't too successful.
Right. Yeah. Definitely not. With IWA Japan, the IWA King of the Death matches, that tape is amongst the hardcore fans is like you had to have it of the 90s. It was that and the New Japan Super J Cup for sure. When Mick Foley is on there, he's one of your great opponents and later partners in the decade. But man, what made you kind of believe in Mick and the IWA Japan there and really kind of take him under your wing?
Well,
really, you guys had those death matches were awesome.
Well, I had to go ECW. As I went, there was Vince McMahon, Well, hell, I didn't want to go up there and kiss his ass. I'd like for you to put that in there, too.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and I didn't want to go up there and kiss Vince's ass. I wanted to be my own boss and go at my own time. So I just headed up the other area. You know, and that was Paulie.
When you take Mick under your wing, he kind of becomes another Anita, like another disciple of Terry Funk, right? I mean, he's a definite Terry Funk disciple, right? Sorry, Mick Foley.
Well, he definitely is. Mick is, yeah, he is a disciple. I don't know what else you'd call him, you know. But I don't know if you'd call him a disciple, but, and I don't know if I had an effect on him. Well, I did have an effect on his career, I'm sure, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was very successful with Mick, you know. Mick's got a lot of talent. You know.
He's unbelievable. You guys were great opponents and great tag team partners.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish wrestling had, I don't know what it's lost, but it's lost some of the things that we had, and I can't put my finger on just what they were. But I know, you know, is they believe they love the business now. But do they? Do they love it as much as us? I don't know.
In 1994, you went to WCW.
Does that make any sense to you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yes. And I totally agree. There's something missing from today's guys. They don't have your charisma, your star power, your ability. I mean, there's a million things to mention about that, for sure. And Mick, too, obviously. In 94, you went back to WCW, and then 97, you end up going back to Vince, then going back to ECW. You really don't hold any grudges, do you? Was money the motivating factor to moving around, or maybe some wanderlust as far as like not staying anywhere for too long? With it.
Well, Vince had no other thing planned for Terry Funk other than destroying his image and popularity around the country. And that's what kind of asshole he was. Put that in there.
Yes. Yep. And he pushed you off of a stage in a dumpster, right? I mean, were people telling you that was crazy to stop doing this? Kind of what drove you to take like a crazy risk like that?
That was me off the dumpster. It wasn't him. So that was my call. It wasn't his.
Oh, why'd you want to do it?
Go off a dumpster and a stage?
Yeah.
What I wanted to do is I wanted to do something that would help me, help his business, and create a buzz. And that's what I thought.
What did you think about Chainsaw Charlie? I'm going to guess you did not like that weird gimmick.
Well, I love Chainsaw Charlie. He says, "You have anything you want to be?" He said, "What do you want to be up here?" And I thought a second there, and I don't know where it came from. It just kind of popped into my mind. I didn't know anything about Chainsaw being alive until that second, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "What do you want to be? What do you want to do?" I said, "Chainsaw Charlie." So there was Chainsaw Charlie. That's how he came about.
Do you think of all the things in the 90s that you did, was ECW the highlight or FMW? Kind of what was the highlight of the 90s for you?
Highlight of the 90s? Shit, this is 2020. That's a long time ago.
It's 2021, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to give me...
Well, ECW
you got to give me a little time on that one.
ECW champion, of course. multiple times.
Oh, the highlight of the 90s? God, that was a long time ago. Highlight of the 90s was that I love my wife, Vicki, and she was with me, and we were very, very happy. And I was happy because I was successful. Life was good, and Terry Funk had his way in the world of wrestling in the 90s.
My favorite match, WrestleFest 50 Years of Funk, you versus Bret Hart from that great show in 97, which is a very, very, very great memory. Obviously, there's some footage of it beyond the mat as well. But, man, that WrestleFest, you versus Bret Hart, what an awesome match.
It was, it was very physical. Very great opponent. People, I don't think, and I'm saying this to you to write down that I believe the wrestlers have the same respect now as they did then. And I'm talking about, ECW. I'm talking about independence. I'm talking about everything. They have the same respect for their own profession now as they did then. It's very questionable to me. I'm not saying they don't, but it's questionable.
The 90s, what was like your favorite feud or your best feud? I know you had Lawler, you had Shane Douglas, you had Sabu, you had Mick for a little bit, you had Onita, you had Bret. Anybody stick out above any of the others?
God, how could you stick one out above the other?
Pretty damn good run for you.
Pretty damn good people I was with.
But there's only one Terry Funk.